Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good evening. I hope all of you are doing well. Now we are in the second movement control order, the second PKP, right? So it's a bit unfortunate for us to be in this situation, but nevertheless we have to obey the regulation. Okay, so we are in week 13 now, and we have actually two more lecture to go tonight, and hopefully next week. Basically, I'm going to wrap up this particular course and to give up a summary of this research methodology course. So for today, I'm going to share with you on the ethics in research. So basically, this is I call it lecture number 10, ethics in research, and basically supposedly before this is a thesis writing, but I decided that that would be the last topic that we are going to cover next week. So for today, I'm going to look into the elements of ethics in doing research. So in terms of the learning outcomes, basically at the end of this session, you should be able to describe the meaning of integrity and ethics, right? Probably some of you have already gone through the term of integrity as a student, integrity as a worker, if you are already working. Of course, as a researcher or as a student doing research, you also need to obey the integrity. There is some integrity and ethics issues. You also should be able to elaborate issues on balancing risks and benefits of doing research, okay? And then discussing moral values embedded in engineering research. At the same time, comment on environmental and social impact of engineering research. And finally, you should be able to explain the meaning of plagiarism. In other words, you would be able to understand what do we mean by plagiarism and how to avoid it and how to check whether you have conducted or performed plagiarism activities in research. In terms of the content, even though it looks many, right, but there are basically only less than 20 slides. We are going to talk on trust. We are going to cover on meanings of integrity and ethics in terms of ethics in engineering research. We're also going to look into the balancing risks and benefits of doing engineering research. And then moral values embedded in engineering. We will look into integrity and then environmental impact of research and social consequences. And finally, plagiarism. So this is very important as a student. So I'll share with you what do we mean by plagiarism and how to avoid it. Right. According to survey in the UK, the most trusted profession basically are doctors as well as academics. Okay, so maybe some people say, why doctors? Why academics? Why not politicians? Why not a minister? Why not other profession? Okay, why is this relevant? Right, membership of a trusted profession and position of trust generates special responsibilities, especially for the medical professions which are in an analogous position. Engineering researchers, we know that there are experts on risks and potential harms as well as benefits in terms of technological developments. And incidentally, from the same survey, estate agents and lawyers came last in the list. Let us see another data coming from a survey in 2018, and it shows the 10 most trusted professions in the world, right? Of course, People trust scientists, people give trust to doctors, teachers, armed forces, and a little bit to the police, ordinary people. They don't trust judges, and less in terms of lawyers. Of course, TV news readers and pollsters. So, and 1/2 countries rank scientists as most trusted. Okay, why is that so? At the same time, more than 1 in 3 countries rank doctors as most trusted. That same goes to Malaysia as well as other countries in the world that put the scientists, doctors, teachers as the top 3 most trusted profession. So in terms of doing research, why I'm showing you this? Basically, if you are a researcher, you are a student doing research, doing your study, you must have the elements or the characteristic of a trusted person. All right. In terms of the integrity and research ethics, so what is integrity? Integrity is a coherence of word and deed and a collection of qualities clustered around truth and fair dealing, integrating one professional's life and personal convictions. Right. So you have integrity. How can you say that you have integrity? You are following the rules. You are not doing things because you want to fulfill personal desire, that you try to go cut around corners when you want to find or publish some results. In terms of engineering research ethics, it concerns obligations, rights, ideals of characters, and minimizing harm to humans, animals, and the environment. It is not just doing something that is following the law, but it is also try to avoid harmful things, minimizing harms to other people, the environment, to the animals, and so on. So the responsibilities and rights that ought to be endorsed in engineering research, it is desirable ideals in engineering research. So in terms of the research ethics, there are, depending on what are you doing. Basically, let's say you are doing some research on biotechnology. If it is taking care of or trying to find solution in finding new vaccine for, especially in the current scenario, the COVID-19. So when you want to do some clinical trials, whether you are going to do the research on, normally they put it on mice to see, or monkeys, and see whether the vaccine works or not. So you have to take care in terms of the honesty and integrity, having protection of human subject when you do having clinical trial for people. There are first trial, second trial, and third trial. So you want to make sure that your product would not bring harm or side effect to other people. Okay, that is a research ethics. At the same time, care of animal subject, responsible publication is also included in research ethics. Okay, where you don't try to alter the results. The results say something else, but when you publish it, you report something else. Of course, there are also issues on confidentiality. Okay, meaning that some works that are being sponsored, or it is critical not to be exposed, yes, but you need to take care of that, and respecting copyright or intellectual property rights. Okay, so of others, or you do not want to expose your findings, where you want to make sure it is being copyrighted first, or you have some IP protection first. Okay, and of course the objectivity, right? In terms of the themes in ethics, there are some sayings by Aristotle. Virtue leads to happiness, where ethical research the most fulfilling, and the other one, moral excellence comes about as a result of habit. So basically, internal self-management in terms of the paradigm. The world is a dangerous place, according to Albert Einstein, not because of those who do evil, okay, but because of those who look on and do nothing. Okay, in terms of integrity by association, a duty to whistleblow, right? So you sometimes you want to make sure that you report the right thing at the right time, okay? And competing pressures, challenging, for example, like doing the right thing at the right time. Sometimes you when you do things associated to research, there are many hurdles. Probably when you are doing your master by course, it is not that crucial compared when you are doing master by research as at the same time doing PhD, or you are a researcher yourself, of when there are many ethical issues that you are going to go through. Okay, so in terms of application in engineering research, as an engineer or engineers doing research, it is involved items such as cultural, right? Different culture, for example, in Malaysia or in the UK or in China or India, you have a different research culture. And of course, for example, in certain places in the world where I did my PhD in the UK, the culture of doing research where some researchers they just put their efforts in terms of just their life into research, meaning that they don't have other life apart from at the lab, meaning that some of them delay their marriage to have children because they want to fulfill the aims of doing becoming a good researcher and so on, compared to other side of the story where some students they have balanced life where they when they do research, they at the same time they also have time with their family. Okay, so in terms of conflict of resolution, empathy, perspective, creativity, stewardship, integrity, these are among others items that are normally being need to be followed through by researchers, especially in engineering. How about balancing risks and benefits? When you are doing research, you would like to have the most outcome from whatever you are doing. There are many obvious types of activity for which ethical consideration is required by engineering researchers, such as using human subjects, especially vulnerable groups. So some research involve studying kids or teenagers, maybe babies, right? Or adults, or elderly people. So you have to take care in terms of when you are dealing with a human subject, in terms of trying to respect their rights. You have to ensure whenever you deal with other humans, you must get their consent, meaning that their permission in terms of having them as a research subject. Because, for example, in certain universities, such as like in UPM, we have a center of elderly people, okay, where they doing research for on elderly people, but at the same time they get consent, get permission from the subject, the human subject, meaning that the special permissions are required in order for you to understand in terms of how to take care of elderly people, how what are their behavior and so on and so forth. That's a good example of a national center for elderly people. Okay, and then the use of human tissue. Of course, when you want to try out, for example, like transplant between human being to another human, right? Let's say you want to um, have a clinical trial, okay? So that involve human, that requires special permission in terms of dealing with human tissues. And then human data, including images. For example, like you are taking photos, you are taking personal data, right? All of these need to be careful in term of trying to get the outcome of the research, balance between the benefits as well as the risks that you are going to face. And there are cases researchers being sued by the subjects themselves. So it has to be balanced between the risks and the benefits. Um, in terms of more elaborate items here, moral values within all aspects of technological development, such as ethics and excellence in engineering, which cannot be separated, and engineering projects which generate new possibilities and risks. Engineers will share responsibility for creating benefits. They will preventing harm and advising on dangers, right? And personal integrity or commitments matter in engineering, in addition to principles of responsibility. Engineering ethics concerns both decisions made by individuals and general directions of technological development. Okay, collective responsibilities of engineers and engineering professional societies at the same time. Ethical dilemmas and potential conflict of interest arise in engineering elsewhere due to myriad and potentially conflict moral values, right? So um, in terms of the moral values in engineering, okay, the moral values and judgments are embedded throughout engineering research, such as basic standards of safety and efficiency, the structure of research groups as communities of people engaged in shared activities and goals with shared credits and rewards, and the idea that engineering research seeks to combine advanced skills with a commitment to the public good. Public good. So when whatever you are doing in terms of the engineering research, you have to have moral values and judgment in term before you conduct any research. Technological development is central to human progress. However, many developments carry with them potential risks, side effects, or consequences, right? So, if new technologies are to be accepted by society, to what extent must they be attuned to the needs, aspirations, and views of society? Because sometimes, when you have a new technology, all right, it doesn't mean that the technology will be viable, will be useful to the society. Sometimes it is harmful to the society. There are rumors or what we can say that people spreading fake news about the bad things of the 5G technology. All right, and they are saying that it will create what they call it as cancer. There are also people associated the especially the anti-vaccine people saying that, oh, the COVID-19 also being caused by the 5G technology. Okay, so those are other things that you need to be careful when you are doing research. What are the impact to the society? What are the views of the people around you? Okay? So, and what are whether you are going to go against the law, right? And to what extent are engineering researchers responsible for providing this information on both risks and benefits? Okay, so basically, when you are introducing your innovation, your research, whether you want to say that what are the risks to other people, and you must ensure that the information that you give to the public is already well established, and it has to be balanced between both risks as well as the benefits. In terms of the integrity in engineering research, and what does personal integrity in engineering research amount to? So the the classical concept of integrity in research is a given, such as accepting and sharing responsibility for the work. Let's say you are doing in a group of researcher where some students are doing something, and other people are also doing something, but there are cases you are relying to each other. So you have to have some mutual understanding. Okay, and imaginatively foreseeing risks and possible harms, conscientiously monitoring projects, alerting others of potential harms to enable them to give informed consent to risk, and combining economic growth, social justice, and environmental care. That has to be included in the integrity in the engineering research. In terms of the environmental impact, right? So when you are doing engineering research, you cannot run away from make sure or ensuring the impact of research is not being harmful to the environment. Basically, sustainable development needs to combine economic growth, such as social justice and environmental care, balancing the needs of the present against those of future generation. You don't want to introduce something today that going to be harmful to the future generation. Of course, you don't want to do that, right? And at the same time, you would like to make sure that whatever that you are introduce in your research would not harm the environment. At least it is going to make the environment much more better rather than trying to destroy it. And to what extent is this something that we should be considering as engineering researchers? Basically, I think you have heard about the Sustainable Development Goals by the United Nations, right? So, as a researcher in engineering, you must ensure what are the contribution in terms of your research to the Sustainable Development Goals. For example, like here, ethical ramifications of research, such as using biofuels, risk ethical consideration, where people think that by introducing biofuel that can impact on food prices because you are using the crops, the food trees that producing food for people. At the same time, you want to use it for as a source of energy. So, but it has to be balanced. Engineers well placed to make environmental contributions, and should we seek to encourage corporations to adopt greater environmental concern, finding ways to embed that concern in economically viable technology, right? So whatever you do, make sure it has some benefits, or at least not trying to harm the environment. Social consequences, right? To demonstrate how this can affect research results, look at the statistics. For this, an example by Bock in 2003, where 94% of researchers with ties to the tobacco industry found no harmful effects when they studied second-hand smoke. Right? These are people who are being sponsored by or have relationship with the tobacco industry. They said 94%, okay, of them saying that there's no harmful effect. Okay, and 30% with no such ties reported there is harmful effect to the second-hand smoke, right? So those with sponsorships are 7 times likely to report harmful effect of second-hand smoke. So remember, it is not just what is reported, but it is also what is not reported in the research. So you have to be ethical in terms of trying to report the actual thing, the truth. It has to be revealed to the public. If it is lead to the researcher not being able to speak freely, if it is tempted to use fraudulent means, if it is damages relationship with colleagues, if it conceals discoveries or information needed by society, for example, like had the discovery of insulin been kept secret, okay, who knows? And if it is cover up illegal acts or the dangers of a product or processes such as concealment of side effect of drug, if it hampers free communication about large areas of potential development. You have to think about what are the social consequences. It's not about you be able to publish results. It's not also about you're going to be able to get your thesis submitted and get your master degree or your PhD, or you being promoted. It is ethical for you to ensure in terms of what are going to be the impact of your research outcome. Okay, of course, doing research, we would like to find new ways of doing better things for human being. Okay, as well as the environment and other living things. Let us go into plagiarism, right? So probably some of you are very familiar about plagiarism, and some of you know what does it mean. Okay, let us go through in terms of some rules. Over here, a candidate shall not plagiarize any idea. So ideas, if it is not protected, if just ideas can just come from anywhere, right? So of course, if you hear the ideas from your mother, for example, all right, so and then you take the idea and say that the idea belongs to you, so it is not ethical. It is already considered as a plagiarism, right? Even though you are saying that, oh, the idea is coming from my husband, the idea coming from my child, the idea I heard from somewhere, so it's not yours. Anything is not yours, it's not. It is considered, if you use it without proper citation or acknowledgement, it is considered plagiarism. So it's not just ideas, of course, writings, data, or invention belonging to another person or other person. So for the purpose of this rule, plagiarism includes the following. Of course, the first one is the act of taking an idea or taking data or an invention of another person, and we claim that the idea or data or invention is the result of one's own findings or creation, which is not non-ethical. So at the same time, an attempt to make out or the act of making out in such a way that one is the original source or the creator of an idea, data, or an invention which has actually been taken from some other source. So you take the information, the idea, or the picture from somewhere, and you claim that it's yours. It is considered plagiarism, right? So without prejudice to the generality of the above sub-rule, a student is considered to plagiarize when he or she, of course, it's not just he, right, publishes with himself as the author an abstract or article, scientific or academic paper or book which is wholly or partly written by some other person, right? So some say that, oh, it's only 20%, Prof. Rahim. Can I just take some paragraph from other people? The answer is no. You have to paraphrase, you have to reword it. Whatever you understand, you put it back using your own sentences to avoid plagiarism. All right. and then incorporates himself or allows himself to be incorporated as co-author of an abstract, article, scientific or academic paper or book when he has not at all made any written contribution to the article. For example, let's say my student, okay, writing a paper, and then I just simply put my name as a co-author, okay, without any contribution. I don't read the paper, I don't proofread the paper, I not even contribute any idea to the work. That is also considered as plagiarism, right? So it's not ethical. So there are cases, I don't say many, there are cases that students tend to put their friend's name in their paper, in return that their friend will put their name in their papers, meaning that they want to increase their numbers of paper, which is not ethical, okay, unless there are significant contribution, okay, that contribute to the writing of the or the content of the article. Okay, that's number 2. And then forces another person to include his name in the list of co-researcher for a particular research. For example, like a professor asking a junior lecturer, "Oh, you have to put my name in all your article because I'm your senior." That's not right. That's wrong. Okay. So if that case happen, you have to. If you are the junior, okay, maybe it's best to report it to the someone much more superior than your boss. So that is quite clear over here. It's not something right. It is totally wrong. And then extract academic data, which are the results of research undertaken by some other person, right? Such as laboratory finding. You don't do the experiment, or you don't do the analysis or calculation, but you say that you done that. And then you simply put in your report, which is wrong. Maybe someone else do the simulation, and then you say that, oh, I did that, I do this, and so on, which is not right. So basically, you can do you can quote some results, but you have to give some acknowledgement to the actual source, right? And then uses research data obtained through collaborative work with some other person, whether or not that person is a staff member or a student of a university, as part of another distinct personal academic research, or for a publication in his own name as sole author without obtaining the consent of his co-researcher prior to embarking on his personal research or prior to publishing data. There are cases that researchers just simply change the name of the authors in an article. I've gone through some when we conducted conferences, and it's quite a shame to see some researchers, lecturers just simply pick up a work from other people and then put their name and claiming that it is their work. All right, so it is. And of course, when we check with using software such as Turnitin, we found out it is 100%, okay, coming from other people. So we simply reject the article. So it is plagiarism. At the same time, transcribe the ideas or creation or others kept in whatever written, printed or available in electronic form or in slide form or in whatever form of teaching or research apparatus or in any other form, and claims either directly or indirectly that he is the creator of that idea or creation. So please don't do that, of course. And clear and unacceptable instances of plagiarism are including the following. The first one, copying of full sentences. You have a paragraph or even some lines in the paragraph from a source as though they are the student's own work, right? And similarities coming from one or more paragraph, basically you cut and paste work, copying without paraphrasing and or citing the original source. So normally in UPM or many other institutions, we are using similarity checker, such as Turnitin or equivalent softwares that may be used. Okay, some students say that, oh, I actually translate it, for example, like translate it into my own language, for example, from English to Malay, and then from Malay I translate it back to English. It becomes my own wording. It's not. It is still plagiarism. So if you do that, the whole sentences will be jumbled up in terms of the grammar is grammar in English and grammar in Malay, or grammar in Arabic or Chinese is slightly different. If you simply translate it and then convert it back into English, is going to be haywire. And then the software itself, for example, like Turnitin, it is already clever enough to detect, any published work in the world, whether it is in, as long as it is in digital form, so it can be detected, right? So, for example, in UPM, we allow up to 20% of similarity. All right, probably right after this, after our question and answer, I will show you the software Turnitin, and we try to show you in terms of how does it looks like. So it is quite interesting to see in terms of how the software can detect even sentences, even equations, even tables, and sometimes the whole article, or the whole thesis, it is coming from somewhere, right? And of course, when you do the similarity check, you do not include the bibliography section, because of course, if you include that, definitely it will increase the similarity index, right? In summary, right, we have already looked into the some I can say just a surface value, or some understanding in terms of the ethics in doing research, fundamental moral values and responsibilities, even though I do not cover or explain every detail of it, because I feel that it is better if we can practice it rather than just trying to really know the definition. Okay, I don't ask you to remember the definition, but more importantly, how you practice ethics in doing research. Okay, and then we also look into the benefits versus potential risks, the engineer's role. Of course, all of you are engineers in my class, and having personal integrity, combining economic growth, social justice, and environmental care, responsibilities to all sections of society, and an awareness of conflict of interest and behaving appropriately, right? Higher education institutions are under increasing economic pressures. Increasingly, researchers are encouraged to seek financial ties, and businesses are keen to utilize the expertise that higher education institutions can bring to benefit society and economy. And this commercialization of research can lead to creative partnership, but it is also bring the risk of distortion of objective judgment, right? Sometimes industry, when they want to when they fund certain research, they want the result to come out very fast. Sometimes they want to cut short certain steps. That's where judgment in terms of the ethics and integrity come into the picture, where you balance between the benefits and the risks. Okay, in terms of the conflict of interest and manipulation of research results. So basically, that's all for our lecture today, right? Probably I will just stop sharing, and I would like to open up for a question and answer, right? I hope I can answer.